Vail. This is vailychat.
1,000 miles away in the Middle East, is suddenly a matter of daily survival for a single world-renowned valley in Colorado.
Yeah, the documentation coming out of the Eagle River Valley today, we're looking at a huge stack of municipal memos, operational assessments, local reporting from Tuesday, May 5, 2026.
And what's the overarching theme you're seeing in all these sources?
It reveals a community that's essentially caught in a vice grip of macro-level forces. They're facing these massive compounding threats that are completely out of their control.
So our mission for this deep dive today is to explore exactly how a mountain community navigates those massive, uncontrollable macro threats. We're unpacking a historic 41-year environmental crisis that's colliding with severe global economic shocks.
Which is a lot for one local government to handle.
Oh, absolutely. But more importantly, we want to show you how the locals are fighting back. They're using fierce resilience, elite youth performance, and just an absolute refusal to let their cultural vibrancy fade.
It's a really fascinating counterattack to look at.
And by the end of this deep dive, you'll see why 700 locals picking up trash is surprisingly directly connected to the geopolitical closure of the Strait of Hormuz.
I know that sounds like a stretch, but the sources map it out perfectly.
Let's start with the physical landscape. It's May. We should be seeing the beginning of a massive spring runoff, but the data says something completely different.
Yeah, the snowpack for the Colorado River Basin is currently sitting at less than 50% of its historical median.
Under 50%. Wow.
Right. And the regional SNOTEL telemetry, those are the remote backcountry sites that measure the water equivalent held in the snow, they actually recorded a total meltout by March 31.
Wait, March 31? That's incredibly early.
It is a full month ahead of schedule. Actually, it marks the earliest melt date in recorded history.
So if the snow is gone in March, the ground is basically just baking all spring long. The soil has to be completely parched.
Exactly. And that creates what hydrologists call a severe hydrological deficit. You have to think of the forest floor as a giant organic sponge.
Okay, a sponge.
Yeah. And when it is completely desiccated like it is now, any spring rain we do get is instantly absorbed by the dirt. It just soaks it up before it can ever reach the streams or replenish the reservoirs.
The water never makes it to where it needs to go.
Right. And right now, 97% of Colorado has fallen into moderate to severe drought. This fundamentally rewrites all the rules for emergency management.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so the governor and the Division of Fire Prevention just launched the 2026 Wildfire Preparedness Plan, and they formally declared wildfires a year-round challenge.
So the traditional concept of a fire season is just, it's over.
Pretty much, yeah.
How does a local municipality fight a year-round war against an environment that is just waiting for a spark, especially when the fundamental resource to fight it, meaning water, is so scarce?
Well, the doctrine has shifted to what they call an initial aggressive attack strategy. The state is no longer waiting for, a hiker to report a smoke plume.
So they're going on the offensive.
Exactly. They are deploying a fleet of multi-mission aircraft. These planes are equipped with highly advanced infrared sensors and high-resolution cameras.
What are they looking for exactly?
They're flying over the remote backcountry, specifically hunting for microscopic heat signatures before smoke is even visible to the human eye.
It's kind of like precision laser surgery. You're finding and removing a microscopic threat before it infects the whole body.
That's a great analogy.
But once they spot that heat source, what actually happens next?
So that data is fed instantly into a predictive modeling program called FireGuard.
FireGuard, okay.
Yeah, and this algorithm doesn't just, plot a dot on a map. It overlays that heat signature onto real-time topographic maps, local wind pattern models, and highly specific forest fuel load data.
So it's factoring in the terrain and the weather all at once.
Right. It calculates how a steep ravine might funnel the wind, for example. It predicts the exact path the fire will take over the next hour.
That is incredible technology.
It is. And the goal is to deploy overwhelming force, like the Mountain Pine Beetle Outbreak Task Force, to clear the dead timber in that specific path before the fire can transition from a ground fire into a crown fire.
Let's pause on that terminology for a second. Why is a crown fire considered the point of no return?
Well, a ground fire burns through the underbrush and fallen logs, right? It moves relatively slowly, and ground crews can manage it. But once the flames climb the trunks and ignite the canopy, the crowns of the mature pine trees, the fire begins to create its own weather system.
Its own weather system? That sounds terrifying.
It really is. It leaps from treetop to treetop, driven by upper-level winds, completely bypassing the ground crews below. Once it hits the crown, it becomes almost impossible to stop.
I look at this technology, the infrared planes and the FireGuard algorithms, and it sounds amazing. But here is where I struggle a bit.
What's that?
Well, you can pinpoint a fire's path with perfect mathematical precision. But if the state is sitting at a 41-year historic low in moisture, spotting the fire doesn't actually extinguish it.
Right.
You still need physical water or chemical retardant, which is a finite resource.
Yeah.
Is infrared technology really enough to save the day when the underlying environment is that dry?
It's a great question, and the internal memos from the Division of Fire Prevention acknowledge that exact limitation. Predictive modeling only buys you time.
Right.
All the software in the world won't stop a fire if the environmental baseline is too dry and the winds are too high.
So what's the actual fail-safe then?
That is why local human preparedness is viewed as the ultimate fail-safe. You can't engineer more snow, so Eagle Valley Wildland is pushing a massive digital defense network directly to the residents.
I saw that in the memos. They're heavily pushing local alerts.
Exactly. They are aggressively registering locals for East Alert for primary emergency texts and Genesis Protect for real-time evacuation mapping.
And there was the third one mentioned, Community Connect. If I understand this correctly, that's a platform where I actually upload my property's structural details for first responders, right?
That's exactly right.
So they know where my gas shutoff valve is, or if I have pets inside before they even turn onto my street.
Precisely. They arrive with a tactical blueprint of your specific property. The technology isn't just hovering in the sky. It has to be integrated into the human response on the ground to mitigate the severe lack of water.
It feels like the entire valley is operating in a state of hypervigilance just to protect its physical boundaries.
They absolutely are.
But that same vulnerability extends to their economic lifeblood, too. And this time, the threat isn't the climate, it's geopolitical.
Right. The operational assessments spend significant time analyzing the global economic shock stemming from the conflict in the Middle East.
Which feels so far away from a Colorado ski town.
It does, but it's deeply connected. The naval blockades and mine-laying ultimatums surrounding the closure of the Strait of Hormuz have bottlenecked a massive percentage of the global oil supply.
And we're seeing the immediate effect of that. The U.S. jet fuel index spiked to $4.26 per gallon.
Which is astronomical.
Just to contextualize that for you, $4.26 a gallon represents an 82% year-over-year increase.
Yeah, and it creates an immediate, catastrophic $4 billion margin squeeze for the aviation industry.
$4 billion, wow.
United Airlines alone is projecting up to $11 billion in additional operating expenses if these fuel prices hold.
That is staggering.
It is, which is forcing carriers to project fare hikes of 10 to 20% across the board just to survive.
So if fuel is up 82%, airlines are going to panic. And historically, the first things they slash are unprofitable, high-altitude regional routes.
They trim the fat.
An airport like Eagle County Regional EGE sits at a massive elevation. I look at it like trying to drive a fully loaded semi-truck up a steep mountain pass.
That's a good way to picture it.
It takes double the gas just to fight the gravity in the thin air. If gas prices double, that mountain delivery is the very first one the trucking company cancels.
Yep. Simple math for them.
And for a fly-in luxury destination like Vail or Beaver Creek, losing commercial flights isn't just an inconvenience. It completely cuts the fundamental artery to their economy. Air travel is their basic infrastructure.
And that is the existential dread keeping municipal planners awake at night right now.
I bet.
EGE requires specific high-altitude, short-field aircraft performance, which burns fuel far less efficiently. A fly-in resort economy collapses if the carriers pull those routes.
But despite the recent collapse of Spirit Airlines and this massive margin squeeze on the legacy carriers, the operational memos note that Eagle County Regional Airport is, quote, holding steady.
Yeah, they are not losing their route contracts.
Wait, how does a local municipality convince an airline like United or American to keep flying a route that is suddenly bleeding money? Are they directly subsidizing the fuel costs?
No, they aren't subsidizing the fuel. They are subsidizing the operational safety margins.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, commercial airlines use incredibly strict algorithmic risk assessments. When an airport is situated at a high altitude, surrounded by mountainous terrain, and the planes are fully loaded with heavy winter gear and passengers,
The operational risk profile is severely elevated.
right, the margin for error is essentially zero. So to offset that risk and justify the high-cost route to their insurance underwriters and corporate boards, airlines demand elite, category-level safety infrastructure on the ground.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Yeah, by purchasing state-of-the-art rescue equipment, EGE maintains its elite FAA safety rating. Just recently, the Colorado Aeronautical Board approved a grant of $921,315 for a massive new aircraft rescue firefighting vehicle at the airport.
So it's essentially an insurance play.
Exactly.
By minimizing the operational risk on the ground with a near $1 million fire truck, the airport makes the route mathematically viable for the airline's actuaries, even when global fuel costs are just destroying their margins.
You hit the nail on the head. The Eagle County Regional Airport drives a staggering $68.9 billion statewide economic impact.
$68.9 billion, that's huge.
It is. So in a volatile global market, you protect your primary economic engine by building an impenetrable fortress around its safety standards.
That makes total sense. And this brings us to a fascinating psychological shift in how a community handles these compounding pressures.
How do you mean?
Well, if you live in Eagle County, you can't make it snow. And you obviously can't send the Navy to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
Right. You're entirely at the mercy of the macroclimate and the global economy.
Exactly. So what do? You physically exert extreme control over what is directly in front of you.
And we see that manifested literally by hand in these reports. On Saturday, May 2, roughly 700 volunteers turned out for the 26th annual Community Pride Highway Cleanup.
700 people.
Yeah, we are talking about 4-H clubs, local business teams, youth groups. They all fanned out across Interstate 70, Highway 6, and local secondary roads.
That is a serious turnout.
And the final data shows they manually removed between 10 to 15 tons of trash.
15 tons of trash is a massive visual improvement for the valley, sure. But I have to play devil's advocate for a moment here.
Go for it.
When the entire state is teetering on the edge of a year-round fire season and the aviation economy is in crisis, picking up fast food wrappers off the side of Interstate 70 feels a bit like, I don't know, rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic.
It can definitely seem that way on the surface.
Like, does picking up wrappers off the highway actually move the needle for the environment on a macro scale? Or is it just a civic exercise to feel productive?
No, it actually matters tremendously. Let's trace the mechanics of that 15 tons of debris back to the hydrological deficit we discussed earlier.
Okay, wait out for me.
Think about the hydrology of the Eagle River watershed. In a normal year, a robust spring runoff pushes a massive volume of water through the system.
Right, it flushes out the riverbeds and dilutes whatever is in the water.
Exactly. But remember, the snowpack is sitting at a 41-year low.
So the river's going to look more like a creek. The water volume will be drastically reduced this summer.
Which completely changes the chemistry of the river. When water volume drops, the concentration of any pollutant in that water spikes dramatically.
Because there isn't enough water to water it down.
Right. The natural system loses its ability to dilute toxins. So all of that litter on the shoulders of I-70, the degrading tire rubber, the microplastics from synthetic wrappers, the heavy metals from automotive fluid runoff, it's all just sitting there waiting for the rain.
Oh, wow. I see the mechanism now. If that debris is left on the highway, the very first significant rainstorm washes all of those highly concentrated chemicals straight into a depleted river system.
And that would be catastrophic for the local ecology. The trout populations, the municipal water intakes, the entire riparian zone relies on clean water.
So removing 15 tons of toxic potential before the meager spring runoff begins is definitely not just a feel-good exercise.
Not at all. It is critical hand-to-hand ecological defense. In a historic drought, every single drop of clean water is exponentially more valuable.
That physical grit, like 700 people physically scouring a highway for microplastics, it isn't an isolated event. It's a symptom of a broader culture of discipline in the valley.
You really see it across the board.
Yeah, you see that exact same refusal to yield to external pressure when you look at how this community is training its kids.
The sports metrics in the reports are pretty mind-blowing.
They really are. We have the Eagle Valley High School boys track team officially securing their 4th straight Western Slope League title.
4 in a row is no joke. The athletic metrics coming out of the valley right now are elite. For example, Tiago Hertner just set a new all-time school record in the long jump.
Oh, wow. What did he hit?
He jumped 23 feet, 8.75 inches.
That is massive.
Right. And he tied the school high jump record at 6 feet, 4 inches, and he clocked a 22.69 in the 200-meter dash.
Incredible. And he wasn't the only one, right?
No, Hudson Wyatt ran a 15.62 in the 110-meter hurdles, and the 4x800-meter relay team posted an 8.04.69.
Those are incredible statistics. But honestly, why are municipal operational memos tracking high school sports times right alongside water deficits and million-dollar aviation grants?
It's a great question. In sociological analysis, elite youth performance serves as a highly accurate diagnostic tool for the overarching health of a municipality.
It's a proxy for community resilience.
Exactly. If a region is truly fracturing under the weight of a severe housing crisis, historic inflation, and environmental dread, if families are breaking down and the social fabric is tearing, the first place that degradation manifests is in the youth.
That makes total sense. Yeah. Athletic programs falter, academic participation drops.
Exactly.
Because sports and extracurriculars require intense stability. You can't train for an 8-minute 4x800 relay if you don't have proper nutrition, a stable home environment, and coaches who actually have the mental bandwidth to mentor you.
The infrastructure required to win 4 consecutive championships is immense. It requires multi-year investments of time and psychological support from parents, school districts, and the athletes themselves.
And despite all the overarching anxieties, these kids are executing at elite levels.
Right. The fact that these kids have adopted what their coaches called a singular mission to dominate proves that the foundational systems in Eagle Valley are actively buffering the youth against the macro anxieties.
The community is essentially using athletic discipline to insulate the next generation.
Yeah.
They are building psychological armor.
That's a brilliant way to phrase it.
When the world feels entirely out of control, you control your stride, you control your jump, you control your baton pass.
But, that intense level of discipline is exhausting. A community that works that hard and fights through that much compounding adversity eventually has to let off steam.
Absolutely.
They need spaces to honor their history and celebrate their diversity.
And today, May 5, 2026, presents a really unique convergence of those cultural releases in the Valley.
Right.
We have the town of Vail officially celebrating its 60th anniversary.
60 years.
Yeah, it has been 6 decades since founders Pete Seibert and Earl Eaton mapped out the resort. And to anchor the celebration, former professional snowboarder and artist Pat Milbury has installed a massive 4-foot metal sculpture at the Golden Peak base.
The piece is dubbed the Heart of the Games, featuring his signature geometric designs. It was funded and built in partnership with the town, the GoPro Mountain Games, and Anheuser-Busch.
I saw the title of this piece in the notes, and it is a brilliant piece of municipal branding. The sculpture is called The Only Way Down Is Up.
It's very striking.
In a year where the physical snowpack is hitting historic lows and the economy faces massive downward pressure, erecting a permanent steel monument called The Only Way Down Is Up is the ultimate statement of alpine defiance.
Defiance is the exact right word. And the municipal memos reveal the strategic necessity behind that defiance. The Town Council's 2026 strategic plan is heavily focused on vibrancy and resiliency.
Because the economic numbers aren't great.
Right. The harsh economic reality is that the region is facing a $5.5 million budget shortfall due to a 25% collapse in Rocky Mountain skier visits this past winter.
A 25% drop in visits is a massive hole in the local tax base.
It's huge. And when a tourism-based economy suffers a hit that severe, the absolute worst thing leadership can do is project weakness or panic.
So the art is strategic.
Exactly. Public art installations like Milbury's sculpture serve as a psychological anchor. It signals to outside investors, to the airlines, and to the tourism market that the town is well capitalized, culturally vibrant, and moving forward aggressively.
And it isn't the only cultural anchor happening today either. Today is Cinco de Mayo, which is foundational to the social and economic fabric of the Valley's Chicano and Mexican populations.
Yeah, the local celebrations are vibrant today.
And when you look at the event listings, they aren't relying on massive, generic, citywide festivals. The celebrations are deeply localized, anchoring people in shared neighborhood spaces.
For example, Maya Modern Mexican Kitchen at the Westin in Avon is running an all-you-can-eat taco bar tonight.
That sounds amazing.
Right. And they're hosting a mustache contest where the winner walks away with a patron golf bag.
That's hilarious and awesome.
Then you have the historic Silver Dollar Saloon in Leadville holding traditional gatherings. And the First Tuesday Stamp Up across Vail and Avon has integrated tequila tastings into their usual schedule.
It just shows that resilience isn't just about fighting wildfires and picking up trash.
Yeah.
It is about maintaining the joy and the cultural identity that makes the valley worth defending in the first place.
Absolutely.
When you stack all of these documents together, the hydrology reports, the aviation grants, the sports metrics, the art installations, you realize that Eagle Valley isn't just surviving 2026.
No, they're actively architecting a new way to exist in an unpredictable world.
How would you synthesize everything we've looked at today?
Honestly, it is a masterclass in controlled volatility. They are countering unprecedented macro threats, like a 41-year drought and a global energy shock, with intense micro-level actions.
Like the fire truck.
Yes. They secure their airport through targeted safety grants. They mobilize hundreds to manually scrub their watershed to protect the water chemistry. They foster elite discipline in their youth, and they wield cultural vibrancy as an economic shield.
I want to leave you with a thought to mull over long after you take your headphones off.
It's a really important perspective to take away.
When historians look back at mountain resort towns in the 2020s, they almost always default to the climate data. They focus on the loss of snow as the end of an era.
Which is an easy narrative to fall into.
It is.
Yeah.
But looking at the sheer human horsepower happening in Eagle County right now, it makes you wonder, will 2026 actually be remembered as the year that the snow dried up? Or will it be documented as the exact moment this community evolved its identity from a winter ski destination into an entirely climate and economic resilient fortress?
It's a powerful question.
Think about what you could build if you stopped waiting for the snow to fall. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking questions, keep looking past the headlines, and keep unpacking the world around you.